It's time. Let's finally now get into talking about freaking spoilers for Marvel Spider-Man 2. I have been waiting to go nuts talking about this game and all the crazy stuff that goes down. It's been a week. I know a lot of people even beat the game on the first night of release, but at this point, I feel like several people, a large majority, you could say, have beaten the game at the very least. So we're going to get into it now. We're going to talk about as many spoilers as I can, but there's still more conversations to be had. I had a spoiler chat actually with Brian Intar when I got to interview him. That's going to be a video we're going to release later on. And it should go without saying, but because I know somebody in the comments is going to complain, yes, we're getting into full spoilers in this video. So you've been warned. If you haven't beaten the game, we're talking about it. We're going unfiltered into this, okay? So let's jump in. But of course, if you're not wanting to get spoiled, if you need to jump out, just make sure you hit that thumbs up button on the way out and then come back when you've beaten the game so you can hear my spoiler thoughts. So let me just immediately start off by saying, like, man, the symbiote arc for Peter here in this game is perfection. The way it ramps up, the way it builds, and then Yuri Lowenthal's performance as Peter with the symbiote when he starts to get angrier and more pissed off, when he gets shorter with his loved ones. My goodness, it is so good. I said in my review, and I will reiterate to say once again, that there is no shot, there is not a chance that Yuri Lowenthal walks away from the Game Awards in December without a Best Performance Award in his hands. And the way that it leads into that fight with Peter and Miles, the emotional stakes of it all, the music, are you kidding me? Insomniac wasn't pulling any punches, and even in these moments that we expected to happen, right? We were all going into this, yeah, like Peter and Miles are gonna fight. It's gonna be a confrontation. But even then, even as something that we all expected to happen, Insomniac manages to find a way to exceed all expectations. And just that sequence of going into Kraven's hideout to get Miles back, but even still, like, almost feeling like it's a chore, and then having that one-on-one between Kraven and Symbiote Peter, if you will. Oh my, so good. Kraven in general is done to perfection, and I'll get more into that in a second, but I also love that following the Kraven boss battle that was intense and very difficult and also had some really fun mechanics to it, we led straight into a fight between Miles and Peter. And the way that you see all the stuff that you've learned in the game up until that point, all the symbiote abilities, and just the way we've all familiarized ourselves with the combat in these Spider-Man games and watch it be used against you was so cool. I just love how all of that went down, and again, the way the music plays out, the score as Peter's trying to fight it and then inevitably rips off that symbiote, tears it off his chest. That is just so sick, man. The imagery is fantastic, and it's why I said, seriously, the stuff that goes down leading into this third act and beyond is some of the best stuff you'll see for Spider-Man in any medium. And wrapped up in the middle of all the craziness, there's also this super interesting and I think really well handled redemption arc for Mr. Negative. I love Stephen Oyoung as this character. I think he did a great job in Marvel's Spider-Man, and I love as well that going into this game, he wasn't just straight up villainous Mr. Negative once again. He's recognized and realized his mistakes, and he has to face them head on as he realizes what he actually did to Miles. And the way that all that plays out, that line of Miles saying, hey, I can't forgive you, it's just not in me, but I'm moving on, that's just brilliant writing. But of course, you know, following that fight against Peter, the game does not, it refuses to let up, because then we bring the symbiote back to Harry, but tell him, hey, we just can't give this to you, it's not good. And that's what leads to Harry breaking open the case that the symbiote was in, getting the symbiote back, and turning into Venom. And the flurry of emotions that I went through during this sequence, I can't even begin to explain it to you. And I can't wait for that episode of the Let's Play to go out so you can see my first authentic, genuine reaction to that entire sequence. Because the way it plays out is like Harry gets the symbiote, and then the camera kind of pans back and makes you think we're going straight into a Venom boss fight. Norman gets in between them, says, hey, no, please don't hurt him, you know, leave him alone. And then he tells all these guards, listen, just get the symbiote off of him, okay? And then next thing you know, the camera pans back again, and it's like, press square to attack, and you're playing as Venom. What the hell? In my mind, at this point, with Marvel Spider-Man 2, I was content with everything that we had gotten so far. I was really loving the story. I thought the gameplay with Peter and Miles was so much fun. You know, the symbiote powers, the iron arms, Miles with his Venom powers, and the blue bioelectricity. I was all in already. And I was coming to grips with the fact that maybe there wouldn't be an opportunity to play as Venom, and I was okay with that. You know, if they didn't do it, they didn't do it. It's fine. There's so much packed into the game already. But they gave us a moment. They gave us some time to just go berserk with this symbiote monster, and it was pure bliss. But in a sense, it's short in the best way possible. It leaves you wanting more, but it also feels like, you know what? I'm full. I have been fed plenty. Because you play as Venom, you go crazy, you beat the crap out of all these like mercenaries or Oscorp guards, whatever you want to call it. You jump out into New York, and just as I guessed it, months ago, when that first little shot of Venom standing in Times Square with Kraven's trucks behind him, you play as him and you fight against Kraven's enemies, and there is a literal Kraven boss battle where you play as Venom. Insomniac? Thank you. What I was so worried about going into Marvel Spider-Man 2 was that, well, we know how big of a villain Kraven is in the Spider-Man Rogues Gallery, but also we are aware that Venom is way bigger. Let's just call it how it is. My problem, though, is that I didn't want there to be a scenario where we kind of just get rid of Kraven, the Spider-Man beat him, that's it, now okay, Venom's the real threat, let's get into that. Instead, Insomniac found such a perfect balance to make it so that Kraven gets his full arc, and also gets exactly what he wants to then allow us still to lead into the third act with Venom as the big bad. The whole game, you know, Kraven's looking for the hunt. He wants that ultimate challenge. He's dying, he has cancer, he's sick, and he wants just to be in a fight where he goes out in a blaze of glory. And I mean, that's pretty much exactly what happened. It is so epic. It is so cool. And I don't say this often, but this was genuinely, for me, as peak fiction could possibly freaking get. Just the way that the characters are interacting with each other, the way he's taunting you, the way he's saying, hey, you know what, finish me off, take me out, this is what I want. Yes, I'm gonna be your first hunt, you're gonna be my last. So good. And yeah, I mean, Venom kills Kraven and bites his head off, and Harry's like, what the hell did I just do? And this is where the symbiote, they fully consume him. It becomes one, you know, Harry and Venom are one entity now, as it manipulates him with the voice of Emily Osborn. And then the game just goes like full Web of Shadows. Like, oh my God, I wasn't expecting this. We have symbiotes invading the city. They got the null swirl on their head. Oh my God. Let me just say though, please, I don't know if it's Insomniac or Marvel or whoever it was, we gotta credit Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman here. They really deserve the credit considering how much inspiration was taken from their run and their ideas for Venom and the symbiote in general. For as much as I love this game, and for as much as I love all the stuff that they did with Venom and the symbiotes and everything like that within that third act, it doesn't exist without Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman, so you gotta give them their credit. I don't know what goes down behind the scenes, okay, but I don't really support the idea that people who come up with these ideas aren't credited for the ideas when they're recreated or utilized to form something new. But beyond the symbiote invasion, the null swirl, all that stuff, all the craziness that's going down in the third act, we also have that confrontation at Aunt May's house between, well, Venom, I guess you could say, MJ and Peter. And I was not I don't think anybody had this on their bingo card. Venom gives MJ a piece of the symbiote and she turns into Scream. I don't think anybody out there could have seen this coming. And that leads to just another epic battle on the streets in Queens. This really emotional moment between Peter and MJ where in a way, she's kind of saying the things that she means. It's just coming across, you know, in a lot more of a disrespectful tone, but in a way, she's sort of saying the things that were on her mind. And so while they're fighting, Peter is hearing her out and is having a chat with MJ. And again, really good stuff here from the writers. But we also get stuff like the anti-Venom suit, which I thought was really cool, but I'm also a little intrigued by, and I kind of hope is something that we don't see return. The suit itself is great, and the Todd McFarlane eyes, I mean, just so good. But I honestly don't like the idea of Peter permanently having the symbiote essentially with no consequences. I was expecting when the symbiote is eradicated at the end of the game that the anti-Venom suit was going to go with it, but the fact that he gets to keep it was a bit weird to me. But it was super cool to see that, again, Mr. Negative gets to complete his full redemption arc, and then we also get to see that Miles understands a bit of what Peter was going through the entirety of this game and the grief that he was dealing with. That takes us to the Venom fight, which is just epic. It's grand. It's on such a large scale, and it takes place across several phases that take you all the way across New York City. You know, first we fight at Midtown High that's kind of been rised up on 3 different platforms. It's really tough as well to fight Venom. I died a lot, but then he gets the wings, and again, a Donny Cates, Ryan Stegman idea. They deserve their credit. It looked really cool in the game though, man. The heavy metal ass shit like that, I'm so down for. And again, I love that there's multiple phases to that boss battle. You know, first you fight him on those multiple platforms as Peter, then you fight him with the wings as Miles, and then you finally have to take him down once more as Peter for this incredibly emotional moment that did genuinely have me tearing up at the end with Harry and Peter. These 2 best friends caught in this web of madness, caught in the symbiote and all the negative effects that come from it. It's so sad. I mean, Harry didn't die, which is great, but clearly they're going to be setting something up here with Green Goblin, and I don't think it's actually going to be Harry Osborn. I'm almost positive that it's going to be Norman, because throughout this game, you can clearly see that Norman's going through quite the descent into madness. He is not having a good time with Harry dying. But you know, we got the G serum, the Goblin serum, the Green serum, whatever that G stands for, it definitely has something to do with Gobby. And now Norman is actually going to be partnering up, teaming up with his old pal and I guess somewhat enemy, Dr. Octavius. That post-credit scene clearly hints that, well, Spider-Man 3 is maybe going to be the final chapter. But also, I'm almost positive that we're building up here to the death of Peter Parker in Spider-Man 3. It's going to be a sacrifice. And then also, Cindy Moon. Yeah, Silk. Again, another thing I don't think people had on their bingo card. I know a lot of people, myself included, were expecting something of a sort of Spider-Gwen tease. As a matter of fact, I was expecting what they showed in that post-credit scene with Cindy Moon, but for it to be, you know, Captain Stacy that Rio Morales was dating, and then introduce Gwen through that. Insomniac doing their own take, subverting expectations and doing something super fun and original by actually having it be Albert Moon that Rio was dating and introducing Cindy Moon into the Insomniac Spider-Man world. Now, there's a couple of things from the Cindy Moon Silk stuff that I hope they don't adapt, and there's a couple of things that I think could be interesting to adapt. Mainly, though, what I'm most interested in is how exactly they're going to find the story purpose for as to how Silk gets her powers. In the comics, it works that she got bitten by the same radioactive spider that bit Peter. It was just right before that spider had died after biting Peter, it bit her too. I don't think that's going to be the case because, well, from what we can tell, at least the way that they're presenting it, she looks like she might even be younger than Miles. By the time we're getting into Marvel Spider-Man 2, Peter was doing the Spider-Man gig for like 10 years almost. So what, she was like a toddler when she got bitten by a radioactive spider? Yeah, I highly doubt that's what they're going to go with. And in fact, I actually don't even think she's going to be Silk officially in Marvel Spider-Man 3. We'll have to wait and see what Insomniac has in store, but I am so hyped. Plus, I mean, the Flame side mission, just get out of town. Is that the DLC, Insomniac? Please tell me it is. I think it would work really well if there is a Carnage DLC for Marvel Spider-Man 2 because it ties a neat little bow on the full symbiote storyline for this game. I think going into a Spider-Man 3 with more symbiotes to deal with Carnage showing up, it might be like, you know, let's just put that to bed. Let it all finish and wrap up within this game. We'll see though. Lots of stuff to come in the future and lots of videos that are going to be coming your way. Like I said, I had a spoiler interview with Brian Intihar where he dished a little bit about some spoilery things from Marvel Spider-Man 2, so you can keep an eye out on that and more. Keep an eye out on this channel, subscribe, make sure you turn on those notifications. Lots of Spider-Man 2 content still coming your way. And with that being said, go nuts in the comment section below. You can go unfiltered. You don't have to worry about giving any spoiler warnings. This is the spoiler review. Sound off with your thoughts in the comment section below. Your spoiler-filled thoughts on Marvel Spider-Man 2. I've been Caboose. I'll see you guys later.